What's up, everyone? Chris Mack here, and welcome to another episode of Deep Dives. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most iconic characters in Batman's mythos, the unsung hero behind the bat, Alfred Pennyworth. And of course, big shout out to our resident comic historian, Supertron, for lacing this one up with all the facts and deep lore. Since his debut in 1943, Alfred Thaddeus Crane Pennyworth, originally Alfred Beagle, has stood beside the Caped Crusader in nearly every issue of Batman and Detective Comics. It's almost impossible to imagine Batman without Alfred. That's how essential he is. Not just to the Bat family, but to generations of fans. By day, he's Bruce Wayne's butler, chauffeur, and personal chef. By night, he's Batman's closest and oldest ally in his never-ending war on crime. But Alfred's story isn't as simple as it looks. From comic relief to covert operative, Alfred's journey has been wild. Alfred officially debuted in Batman issue 16 from 1943. He was created by writer Don C. Cameron and artist Bob Kane. Though behind the scenes, credits likely belongs to Victor McLeod, Leslie Swabaker, and Harry Fraser. Writers of the Batman movie serial that hit theaters the same year, DC rushed him into the comics before the serial dropped, which explains why his design was so different. Originally introduced as Alfred Beagle, he was overweight, clean-shaven, and played for laughs. A clumsy amateur sleuth who sailed from England to America to serve Bruce Wayne, following in his father Jarvis's footsteps as a butler to the Wayne family. Bruce tried to send him packing until Alfred accidentally stopped a crime and then casually revealed he'd already figured out Bruce and Dick's secret identities. At that time, Alfred was pure comic relief, part of DC's push to make the Batman stories more lighthearted. But just a few issues later, Alfred got a redesign. DC modeled him after actor William Austin, who played him in the 1943 movie serial. They even gave him an in-story explanation. He went on a vacation, lost weight, and grew a mustache. The look stuck and became the Alfred we recognize today. This Alfred belonged to Earth 2, while the better-known, more refined Alfred Pennyworth, whose name was officially changed in 1969, came from Earth 1. Alfred Beagle was officially erased from existence during Crisis on Infinite Earths. But then during Zero Hour, he temporarily replaced Alfred Pennyworth as a side effect of Hal Jordan unraveling space and time in an attempt to alter the timeline. Alfred Pennyworth would return once the timeline was fully restored. Alfred's Earth 1 debut was hard to pinpoint because of continuity overlap, but his origin eventually got an overhaul in 1957. Now he wasn't sent by his father. He applied to be Bruce's butler. Not long after, Robin dragged an injured Batman home, and Alfred tended to Bruce's wounds, earning his trust and discovering the Batcave in the process. But during this time, things got weird. During the 1960s New Look era, Julius Schwartz became the editor of Batman and Detective Comics and was tasked with boosting comic book sales. He set out to give the titles a makeover, which included taking a more serious and grounded approach to the writing and clearing out most of Batman's established supporting cast, except for Robin and Commissioner Gordon. But rather than simply write Alfred out of the comics, Schwartz decided to kill Alfred off. Alfred would heroically give his life to save Batman and Robin from a trap set by a gang of crooks, believing that it would be a perfect way to convey to readers that his new presentation for Batman was much darker. This certainly was a bold move at the time, and not just because Silver Age comics rarely explored the concept of death. Unlike Spider-Man's Uncle Ben, who was killed off in his first appearance, Alfred had been around for over 20 years by this point. Dick Grayson's Aunt Harriet was originally intended to permanently replace Alfred as the keeper of Wayne Manor. This would have been the end of Alfred's story. But in a twist of fate, the writers of the 1966 live-action movie and television decided to include Alfred despite the character having recently been killed off in the comics. Schwartz was pressured to fall in line with the 1966 live-action show, which included Halvin Alfred as a supporting character. And so, the decision was made to retcon Alfred's death and bring him back. So how did they bring him back? As a monster. Turns out Alfred survived. Barely, and was found by a scientist named Brandon Crawford, who revived him using an experimental machine. It worked, although it mutated Alfred into an evil, otherworldly being calling himself the Outsider, who possessed powerful telepathic abilities. Now wanting to kill Batman and Robin rather than protect them, the Outsider targeted them from behind the scenes for several months before finally revealing himself to the dynamic duo. Eventually, Batman narrowly managed to defeat the Outsider and reverse the effects, restoring Alfred's humanity and erasing his memories of the transformation, fearing that the guilt would be too much for Alfred to bear. The Outsider would return multiple times, sometimes splitting off from Alfred completely, even fighting Superman, Batgirl, and the Outsiders. And just when you thought it couldn't get stranger, Earth 3 gave us a full-on evil Alfred Outsider from a parallel universe. This Alfred is the butler and minion of Owlman, Batman's evil counterpart on Earth 3. Today, fans know Alfred as the person who became Bruce Wayne's legal guardian following the death of his parents. This happened after the 1985-1986 Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, which reversed the origins of Batman and many supporting characters and villains, using the Crisis as the in-story explanation for any changes to the official DC timeline going forward. Post-Crisis, we would finally get a definitive version of Alfred's origin. He'd served in the British military, originally during World War II, though DC's sliding timeline keeps shifting that around. We also learned that Alfred had combat training, detective skills, marksmanship expertise, and even donned the Batman suit on occasion. Over the years, fans have been treated to more of Alfred's unfolding history. We would be introduced to his brother Wilfred and niece Daphne. While serving in the British Special Forces, he would briefly have an affair with Mademoiselle Marie during a mission. This would introduce us to his daughter Julia, who was the result of said affair. After the war, he pursued acting, but returned to family duty when his father fell ill, stepping in as Thomas and Martha Wayne's butler. After their murder, he became Bruce's legal guardian, co-raising him alongside Dr. Leslie Tompkins. This idea had been floating around for a while. It appeared in the 1985 Super Friends episode The Fear, and even early drafts of the 1989 Batman movie, but was finally canonized in Frank Miller's 1987 Batman Year One comic arc. Since then, Alfred has been the heart of the Bat family. He's patched up wounds, offered wisdom, and stood in as Bruce's emotional anchor time and time again. In 2019, during the City of Bane storyline, Alfred was killed by Bane, a decision that hit fans hard. Personally, I hated it. Not because it lacked impact, but because it felt wrong. Alfred was more than a side character. He was Batman's lightning rod, the only person Bruce truly trusted. And without him, all the Bat books have felt off, unmoored. The 2022 Batman vs. Robin series felt like it tried to give the fans closure, showing Alfred's soul finding peace and Bruce getting a final goodbye. But honestly, it still hurts. All in all, Alfred has had a long and complicated history. He started as a punchline and became one of the most essential figures in Batman's world. Every piece added depth. Alfred wasn't just the help. He was a man with a full life before Bruce, and a legacy that lives on. So what do you think? Did Alfred's death really serve the story, or just twist the knife? Was the Batman vs. Robin series a true and sincere send-off? Let us know in the comments. We love hearing from you. These characters are more than just ink on a page or plastic on a peg. They've got decades of stories behind them. Like Jack Kirby said, there are modern mythos. If you'd like to go deeper into Alfred's history, we have a recommended reading list waiting for you down in the description. And if you've enjoyed this video, please click the bat bell next to subscribe so you never miss a deep dive. And if today's review sparked your curiosity, then I hope you continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.